in listen-only mode.
Hello everyone, this is Ram. I believe you must have attended my sessions earlier. That was predominantly an introductory session. So what I wanted to cover today was start looking at the course content, okay, the course content, and also probably how we could be going about with this particular course. Wherever you have any kind of questions, right, we'll try and keep it to the end of the session, but we'll try and keep it interactive going forward. So let me just bring up the presentation that I've done earlier and see if we can try and connect using that presentation to start with. So I'm just navigating us to the course modules. So typically we are having different modules that are available for us within SAP Business Objects, and we are currently going to look into 4.1 version. 4.1 version essentially means that there is no desktop intelligence as such. Desktop intelligence has only significance when you have the previous versions where they are using desktop intelligence reports and they're going to convert it into web intelligence reports. So what we could straight away start with is go ahead with web intelligence reports, and then probably down the line we could take a look at how desktop intelligence works. And next thing is we want to make sure that whenever there is some kind of migration task or migration project comes in, we will try and handle the conversion of desktop to web intelligence, and also from previous version to the latest version. So the course modules are going to comprise of desktop intelligence, which we will be handling a little later. Then you have most important thing is web intelligence reports. Then you have the universe design, administration module, and some of the advanced versions for analytics is SAP dashboards. Okay, Crystal is a pretty old tool, but it's a very powerful tool. Then you have Lumira and Explorer, which are the new ones, and subsequently towards the end or whatever, wherever we have already covered desktop intelligence and administration, we could go ahead and do the SAP migration module. Okay, so let me just navigate you to the server. Okay, so when you register yourself, okay, when you register yourself, and once you register, you will be provided access to the remote desktop server, okay, where you would be able to navigate from the start button. Okay, what you could do is you could easily go to something called as all programs, and subsequently go to something called as SAP Business Intelligence. Okay, this is where you would be seeing something called as SAP Business Objects Web Intelligence. Okay, so this is the reporting module for us, and our primary focus would be web intelligence, rich client, or we have web intelligence thin client. So we will be either way. Both of them are very much same, 99.99% pretty much same, except for some difference in functionality as far as accessing information that is offline. Okay, so what we could do is before we proceed with web intelligence, okay, there are different ways you can access web intelligence. One thing on your desktop or on your personal laptop, where you have this all programs, okay, and also you could go to SAP Business Intelligence, and then SAP Business Objects platform for client tools. This is where you have Web Intelligence Rich Client. Okay, so what I'll do is, for a easier understanding, I'll just open a notepad and start typing few sentences here, so that with my typing speed, I mean, I might be a little slow I might type it a little slow, but at least, right, you will be able to easily follow the session. And probably going forward, right, I might pull in some of these PowerPoint presentations, so that way, right, we could avoid some level of typing here. So let's look at some of these particular how we are going to navigate and learn things. So we're going to cover these particular topics in today's session. Okay, one is BI Launchpad. Okay, I'm hoping that you are able to see it. Okay, I'm hoping that you are able to see it, and it is pretty visible. Okay, but probably we'll just see if we can open a WordPad. If okay, excellent. We have, I believe, we have a Word 2010. So let me just look into it. So what we will do is we will just open this, we'll start a new file. Okay, topics to be covered on 4/27/2014. Okay. Okay, sorry about it. So topics that we are going to cover for today. Okay. BI Launchpad. Okay. A high-level explanation of Central Management Console. Okay. Then we are going to cover Web Intelligence. Web Intelligence Rich Client. So what we will do is, we will start with going at the surface level. Okay. At the top, we'll try and scratch the surface of it, and then slowly start going into depth of each particular area. So we'll talk about BI Launchpad. Okay, this is the official, or whatever you call, portal. Portal means it's a gateway. Okay, portal to access all the documents. And documents is desktop intelligence. Then you have Web Intelligence. And there are agnostic documents, which are nothing but Word, Excel, maybe PowerPoint. So all this information could be stored in something called as a repository. Okay? The front end for accessing the repository is the BI Launchpad. Okay, it's a portal. Talk it as gateway. Talk about it as what do you call? It's a portal. Okay, it's an entry point for you to access any of the documents that is stored in the repository. Is called as a BI Launchpad. So what was it called earlier? Okay, so probably we'll just say, give me a second, let me just move this. Okay, next thing, it used to be called as it was called as InfoView portal. This was until 3.x versions. Okay, so until 3.x version, it was called as InfoView. They started calling it as Business Intelligence Launchpad. Okay, and this is a gateway for me to access Okay, for me in the sense for the users to access any of the reporting tools or analytic tools. Okay, so what exactly does it mean? So typically, right, you have the start button. Since I believe I'm the admin on this particular machine, okay, I have some additional privileges, okay. So we can take a look at it if I have those additional privileges, or maybe not, we can just take a look at it. SAP Design Studio, okay, no problem. I don't have it currently, but I can take you to the, I'll minimize it to the desktop. Okay, there is something called as Central Management Console, and there is also something called as BI Launchpad. Okay, when I double click this, right, it is going to open the web browser version for me. Okay, so there is a username here. All right, there is a username. My username is SBO user 04. Okay, my password is okay, whatever it is. Okay, this is my landing page. Okay, this is my BI Launchpad. So what does it mean for me? I would be able to access some of these modules. Okay, remember I was telling you some of the reporting modules, number one, then some of the analytics related, some workspace related information. So if you look at this icon, right, this is web intelligence. Okay, for me to access these particular tools that is available in the enterprise, business objects enterprise, I would have to go to the BI Launchpad, because we wanted this to be an enterprise system that is accessible through a browser or a web interface. So we could go ahead and click on web intelligence. So there is another module called as Explorer, right? I told you some of the advanced information like Lumira, Explorer, etc. Explorer can be accessed through the browser. Okay. Then you have something called as BI Workspace. You have something called as Crystal Reports for Enterprise. Okay. As I told you, right, one of the most powerful reporting tools that has ever been built, okay, to address the reporting needs. So that is the Crystal Reports for you. And you have Information Steward. It's more to do with data, okay, more to do with trying to understand the data lineage, etc. Then you have something called as the Analysis Edition for OLAP, okay, wherever you got OLAP cubes, okay, it could be SSAS or it could be BWQ, which is part of the SAP ERP module. So we are allowed to use Analysis Edition for OLAP. And then you have something called as module. So we'll go through that as necessary. But all I wanted to tell you is, for us to have a good start, what we understood is there is something called as BI Launchpad, and then using BI Launchpad, I would be able to access a list of different tools that could be helping me in terms of delivering the reports or analytics. Analytics typically is you have something like year over year, okay, 2004 versus 2005, or you have month over month, Jan versus February, or quarter one versus quarter two. Okay, so these comparisons, wherever there is some historic data that is involved, right, you can talk about analytics. How does analytics help us or the business? It's a point of reference. How did my company perform last year versus this year? Last quarter versus this quarter. Month to date versus year to date. Okay, for this year versus last year. So those are all called as analytics. Long story short, BI Launchpad is the entry point for us to access these tools. Okay, that is number one thing. And it is also an entry point, okay, for accessing the documents as such. So what I'll do is, I'll just highlight this. One thing is to access the documents, or you could also call it as content. Any kind of content, a collection of data, okay, or documents can be accessed through Launchpad. The other thing is this is a gateway for me to access any of the reporting tools. Okay, it's also called as InfoView portal. So I hope you understand the way I'm trying to break things for you in a very chronological order. So that way, right, your general understanding of this particular tool is going to be easy. This particular note would be a reference point for you to learn more, and I would highly encourage you to go online and just say, okay, web intelligence tutorials or BI Launchpad tutorials. So that way, right, some of us are quick learners and it will be big help for them. Some of us may not be as quick learners as others. That's fine. For those folks, right, we can always utilize this particular video recording as well as the typed content on the particular screen. Okay, so let's move on and try and explore the BI Launchpad as such. Okay, so what exactly do I mean by the BI Launchpad here? If I go back to the browser, okay, I'm able to see a section of reports which clearly mentions that my recently viewed documents. Suppose I went in ahead and opened about 10 documents. All that will show up here in this particular quadrant, in this particular panel. Okay, and for example, there are some reports which I would open them on demand. Okay, on demand, I'm opening these particular reports. So they all show up here. Okay, there may be some reports where I am actually running them in the background. Okay, maybe something like a weekly report. I want to understand what are my weekly sales, for which I don't have to go online, do an on-demand request and run the report, because it's a regular report which is going to run every week, maybe say at 9 a.m. So all those scheduled documents would show up here in this particular panel. Okay, if I have any of the, if probably I'm a user John Smith, okay, and there is some other user Philip Matthew. So Philip Matthew sends it to me, which I'm John Smith. If he shares a document, okay, and if it is not read, it would fall into my inbox category here. This is a section where I would see my inbox. Okay, and then there could be some kind of alerts, okay, that are set, that could be showing up here. Okay, again, here is the thing. The beauty of this particular tool is, okay, it's vast, but at the same time, right, we tend to use only the 10 to 20% of its capabilities every now and then. So there are very few instances. Where we would have extensively used this particular tool. So what we will do is we will try and explore some of the possibilities, some of the options that are available. I would highly encourage you to follow this kind of learning. Okay, go into these drop-down menus. Okay, you click on applications, you will see a list of tools that are available for us to use them. Okay, you could typically, right, in the entire course module, right, we will be accessing something called as Web Intelligence, okay, and probably something to do with Crystal Reports Enterprise. And then the other important section here is something called as Preferences. Okay, so Preferences is nothing but how I want my BI Launchpad to look, because each individual wants to follow their hat. Okay, more importantly, they would want to have their own pattern, or they would want to build their own BI Launchpad, customize it, customize the colors to a level where they like to use it, because this I would call it as their own portal, their own personal portal. Nobody else can see it. Okay, more importantly, right, they can have their own customization as such. Okay, let me just bring it up. Bring one or two scenarios where I could possibly do some customization. Okay, let me just put it as Web Intelligence. When I click on Web Intelligence, right, I have different options: HTML, applet, okay, desktop, PDF, etc. I am provided different options where I can pick and choose the kind of format I can view on the browser or whatever. Maybe I want to see a report only in PDF format as opposed to an HTML. So what I would do is I can always go and select it as PDF. Okay, so that's just one of the options that is currently available for us. Let's try and explore some of these particular options. Just give me a second. Yeah, sorry about it. So let me just bring up something like web intelligence, okay, or general. Give me a second. Let me just navigate here. Set maximum. Okay, so we have these particular settings for us. Okay, what I've done was is you have this general, and if I said use default settings, everything else is disabled. Okay, I want my own personality to reflect on my landing page or home page or my own BI Launchpad. Okay, each of you can have your own taste to reflect on your BI Launchpad. Again, our course is not focused at customizing our BI Launchpad, but at least as a technical expert, okay, down the line 1 to 2 months from now, you will be the go-to person for your implementation. So it definitely helps if you could explore these things. Probably you could review some information online and also look at this information in terms of customizing it. So let's remove the default settings, okay? And what I'll do is probably I'll click on Documents tab. Okay, the moment I log into my BI Launchpad, I want to see probably a specific folder. So I'll go to the Browse folder, select it. I will say Certified. Okay, and say okay. The moment I log in, I want to see this .certified folder. So what I'll do is I'll just save and close. Okay, changes to some preferences will take effect after the page reloads. Okay, page loads. What we will do is log off. Okay, and go back. Okay, interesting. So did you notice this? Our home page was this, but the moment we logged in, it took me directly to the certified folders, because I might predominantly working on certified folders. Probably one of us want to go back to preferences and say, you know what, I don't care if I have to really look at certified folders, but I want to go to browse folders, okay, and probably something like visual difference. Okay, maybe I just want to see some web intelligence samples the moment I open my preference page. So I selected the web intelligence samples and say save and close. Okay, say OK and log off and log in again. Did you notice? It's directly taking you to web intelligence samples, and these charting samples or fold, unfold, whatever be the case. Okay, I'm able to open them. Okay, illegal access to the user, okay, whatever it is. I don't know why the issue is showing up, but okay, let me look into that later. But again, more importantly, right, you have this web intelligence samples that is showing up. Probably one of us wants to go look at the preferences, okay, and say, let it show my documents. Let it go to my personal page where I can store my personal documents, okay. So let's go and save the preferences, okay, log off, log in. Okay, so it's showing my favorites. So what exactly is my favorites? What is public folders? What is categories, corporate categories? And this is a search criteria for me to type in public Okay, so let's start with my documents. Okay, what is my documents or my favorites? So this is my personal space. Okay, this is like an allocation of space where I would be able to store my personal documents. Maybe it has got a report which is confidential and I want to save it, don't want to share it, I could always save it in my favorites. I have two options right now. I can save my reports, documents, okay, in my favorites. That means it is sitting somewhere on the repository, it's a secured environment, it is not eating your space. Okay? However, when you are using something called as Web Intelligence Rich Client, okay, that is there on your desktop, you are saving your documents on your desktop. That means you are responsible for the security of those particular documents. But whenever you save the documents within my favorites, in the BI Launchpad portal, you have absolute security and nobody can access it. Okay? And then if somebody shared a report with me, it will get into my inbox. This is very similar to your email inbox. Okay, any of the alerts, subscribed alerts, etc. are all going to show up. Now there is something called as categories and they're calling it as personal categories. Personal categories are nothing but it's just like a label, right? In Gmail you have something called as a label. Okay, in your the Google Mail, whatever you call. You could just label a list of emails the same way you can just give a label, give some name to all set of finance reports and say that they are financial categories. Or maybe it is personal reports, give it as a personal categories. Okay? There is public categories or corporate categories. Suppose there are 1,000 reports and you want to categorize it as finance, sales, marketing, etc. Right? All those can fall into these categories. Let's go back to my documents again. We covered my favorites. Okay, we covered inbox. Inbox is nothing but your email, just like email inbox. If you want in this inbox, you can only share the documents. Okay, then you have some alerts. If I need to send some kind of alerts, etc., all these can be sent here. And more importantly, there is something called as personal categories. Okay, this is my space or nothing but my favorites. Only I have access to it. Okay. Now, there is one particular folder that is showing up under my favorites. Okay, it says Web Intelligence and it has some kind of symbol in front of it. Okay, what exactly this folder means? I ran a report. Okay, I read the report, and what I did was I left the report in its current state. It retrieved data, and I left my desk and came back after 15 minutes. Now, I want to make sure that even though I left this my desk and came back after 15 minutes after some coffee or so, I didn't want to go back and refresh the report again. I should be in a position to retain that report. That report will temporarily get saved with some kind of naming convention and the report name and I would be able to access that report here. Okay, so this is what I would call it as a temporary allocation where the report in itself gets saved. So give me 1 second. I'll probably change a browser here. Instead of Google Chrome, I might want to use Internet Explorer. Let's see, we may be able to see some of those reports. Okay, give me a second. So let me just see if, illegal access to viewer. So I'll take a look into it, what the issue is. It says illegal access to the viewer. Please use a valid URL. I'll look into it. But more importantly, right, what we wanted to learn today is there is my documents, which is my personal space, and any of the reports that were open and left as it is will get saved in this web intelligence folder. Okay, and then you have something called as folders, which is the public space. Okay, and suppose any of the common reports I want to save on in the repository, but I don't mind people accessing the information. Those all fall under public folders. Public folders is like your shared network drives. Whoever has access to this particular network drive will be able to see all the reports here. Okay, I think it's still opening, so let's wait for it. And there is something called as categories. As I told you, right, these are corporate categories. That means the categories are created by the admin, or at least the user group admin, or somebody who is the user group head. So those are categorized as corporate categories, and they have some kind of standard naming convention that could be followed across the company. So they don't have anything to do with security. So this is an extremely important point I'm going to tell you. I cannot set security on categories. I cannot say, okay, nobody can see finance category. But I could always go back to folders and I would be able to set security. If I don't want people to see .certified folder, I could always deny access to that particular group. So long story short, your folders are used for grouping your similar set of information. Those are reports. Okay. Besides that, they also can be used for securing the content, which is nothing but your reports. Those could be WebP reports or dashboards, or it could be desktop reports. Name it. Any of that content can be secured using the folders. Now you have this categories. Categories are just labels. I cannot really restrict people saying that, okay, category 1, you guys cannot see. Group, finance group cannot see. So it is not at all set up for security purposes. Okay, and let me just give me a second. Okay. All right. So what we covered so far is we looked at the BI Launchpad and we looked at some of the tools. What I would recommend is go through these preferences, try and work it out, okay, explore them, okay, and come back with any of those questions. This is what I would say, because there is so much of information that is available, you still would be able to take a look at it on your own. So let's look at one more option here before we moved on to the next topic. Okay. In case we are using these default settings, it's for a document it shows the type, the last run. If it is a scheduled report, the number of instances, probably if it is running for last 1 week. So you will see 7 instances. Okay, and then which, if it is if the report is available in the inbox, right? It will show received on and also from whom. Okay, so let's just quickly try. Let's go ahead and quickly try some of these options. So that way, right, you can always go back and customize your BI Launchpad. So for now, we'll just say save and close. Okay, let's take a look at one of the reports out here. So probably folders, okay, and one finance. Okay, it gives you the title of the document. It gives you the type of document it is. It is web intelligence. Since this report was not run, it doesn't show last run, and the instances, it shows it as 0. Okay, so let's go ahead and give a little, put in a little effort to try and understand this. Okay, title, type, last run, and instances. Let's go back to preferences here. Okay, type, last run, instances. Okay, then you have received on and from, whatever it is. So let's go ahead and say description and created by. Let's add these two components here. Save and close. Okay. Right now it still shows title title, type, last run, and instances. Let's go back to probably home. Go back to documents. Okay, maybe I'll have to log off and log in. Okay, so you have instances, description, created by, right? What are all the options we have selected here? Type, last run, instances, description, created by. All these are showing up. So what I could do is simply go to this particular table and go to properties and say this is a cross tab report. Okay, this is the description field I just filled in. I'll say save and close. So this is a cross tab report. So these are called as personal preferences. Whether you want to see instances, whether you want to see the description, or you want to avoid all those, you could easily go ahead and customize here. So let's quickly go back and take a look at it. Let's see. Let's do a run now. Okay. We will try and schedule it once. Okay. Schedule. Okay. It says recurrence. Run now. That means it is going to run the report at this point. That means I have just scheduled this report to run at this point of time. So it's saying the status is pending. Okay, I'll just refresh it. I'll see it's in running status. It's created by SBO user 04. Type of document is web intelligence. Okay, is there any parameters that I passed within the report? Maybe the date, etc. It doesn't show. So that means I haven't passed any parameters there. Okay, instance time. I'm just trying to refresh the results and see if it is. So let's just close it. So did you look at it? We ran this once. We did a scheduling job. We ran this report using that scheduler. Cross-tab report example. Type is web intelligence. Last run it still doesn't show. Instances it shows 1. And this is a cross-tab report, that's the description, and this is created by SBO user 04. Let's right-click and see what the schedule history says. Okay, it's still running. Maybe at some point this is going to be successful. Okay, but let's not worry about it. All I wanted to show you was, okay, this is the instance within the history for that particular report. If you close that window, this is the base report. If I wanted to see that particular instance run at maybe at 8 p.m. EST or 8 p.m. CST, I could always go here and say history and go and access the information here. Okay, for some reason this report failed. So this report failed for some reason, so let's not bother about it. I just wanted to show you a report could be scheduled and all the information pertaining to the report can show up from here. Okay, since it was run once using the scheduler, it shows as 1. Okay, what I would suggest you is, since this is not the most important topic, I would just suggest you to go through this references and try and explore. If you have some questions, we can always address it. Okay, so what I'll do is, probably I'll open this session for a couple of minutes for you to ask me any questions. Does anybody have any questions here? You can raise your hand so that I can certainly, I can probably answer those 1 or 2 or maybe 2 or 3 of them. Okay. Okay, I did not. Does anybody have a question? For some reason, it shows me not attentive. Okay. Do you folks have any questions? Can you just raise your hand? Okay. So what I'll do is I'll just move on to the next topic. Okay. This is just an introduction about your BI Launchpad and what are the different components. Okay. So give me a second. All right. So let's go back to our theory page or just some notes section. Okay. We learned in brief about a BI Launchpad. Okay, it's a portal. Okay, I can access all the documents, content. Okay, it was called as InfoView portal, and it's also a gateway for me to access the reporting tools. More and more, these particular tools are accessible through the browser. Okay, there are some deviations here and there, but all these business intelligence tools, they can be accessed irrespective of location. So that's their objective. So that's why they are building these tools, which are predominantly web-based tools as opposed to desktop-based tools. So what are the advantages with these web-based tools? Okay, we can just web-based tools, advantages. What are those advantages? No need to install software on desktop. Okay, as simple as this. I do not have to upgrade every now and then for new versions. Okay, so what I'll do is probably I'll just okay, web-based tools, advantages. So no need to install the software on the desktop. Okay, I do not have to upgrade every now and then. Whenever the server is upgraded with a new version, I have the latest version. Okay. I do not need to store my work on my desktop. Okay, we'll have management issues, right? Managing issues. Okay, maintenance. Okay, there is always a backup maintained on the server when you save information, documents online, right? Those are some of the driving, some of the things that is driving me. Those are some of them that would drive me towards using a web interface as opposed to the what do you call as desktop interface. Okay. Now let's go very briefly to Central Management Console, which is the administration module. Okay, give me a second. Okay. Sorry, I'm reading through some of the questions. Okay, great. Just wanted to make sure that you don't have any questions so far. Okay, let's move on to Central Management Console. So what is Central Management Console? Okay. So this is the administration module. Okay. I could administer the entire system sitting remote or no geographic dependence. Okay, there is no dependency, with the geographic location. Okay, what do I do using this module? Secure information. Okay, that means provide access to only the right people based on the security privileges. Okay, then maintain the servers and monitor the health of these server processes. Okay, so these are some of the usages. So what do I do here? I just go to the desktop where you have this icon, Central Management Console. Okay, pretty much the URL is almost the same, but it has slight changes here. I would go to enter my password. Okay, this is my administration module. So what can I do? I can control a lot of things. I can apply security on folders here. Okay, these are the personal folders. Okay, remember I was telling you there is an area where you will be saving your work and you don't want them to be accessible by anybody else. Okay, but more importantly, you want the information to be secure. So administrator is one person. Okay, he is eligible or he has the privileges to access any information. What if an individual leaves the organization and there is some information left there? So very important thing is somebody has worked for about 5 years and they left all their work in their personal folder. That's the location where they can access the documents online from the portal. But they are physically stored somewhere else. Okay, somewhere else. There could be a location that is there. This is the username. Okay, I'll go to the properties. This is the ID for that particular folder, or maybe it is a document. Okay, it's sitting somewhere on the server. Okay, so what it means is, it is number one thing is it is secure, but yet accessible for administrator. So as an administrator, right, I would never go into these personal folders unless there is an absolute need and there is a process for it, depending upon the organization. So all the administrators, they would never ever get into this particular area. But more importantly, right, I want to go back to the home page. Okay, CMC Home, Central Management Console. So let me just put it here. Central Management Console, we call it as CMC. Okay. It's the administration module. I could administer this enterprise sitting anywhere, and I could be able to secure information. More importantly, right, address any of the maintenance issues and maintain this server process, make sure that these server processes are running properly. And if you go back to this particular screen, local, sorry. Okay, so this is my central management console. Folders, personal folders. Categories, personal categories. Users and groups. All these folks, right? I'm a user of this particular enterprise. SBO users. Okay, probably I might show up in administrators. Okay, there is administrators somewhere here. Hopefully there's a group. Administrators. Okay, administrators, SBO user 04, that's me. I believe everybody is an admin in this system at this point, so we should be able to access everything out here. Okay, these are the users and groups. Okay, go back to CMC Home, that's how I would navigate. Okay, then you have something called as profiles. When you do the scheduling of documents based on your profile, you would be receiving that report. For example, there's a salary report that we broadcasted. Each of the employee would receive their salary report, okay, but they would get to see only their information and not anybody else. But your manager may be entitled to see all the group's salary report. Okay, then you have the inboxes here. Okay, go back to the CMC. Okay, this is your inbox. We talked earlier in the BI Launchpad, and this is the servers section. Servers section is nothing but this particular BI tool follows something called as Corba architecture, Common Object Requester Broker architecture. So what exactly it means, right? Barber has to do barber's job, right? You're familiar with that phrase. For example, core services. Okay, you have adaptive job server. You have processing server. Adaptive job server runs your schedules. Okay, processing server will open the report and refresh it. Okay, central management console is the heart of it. If this particular server is down, you cannot really run the enterprise. So this server should be continuously running, and this is linked to your repository or central management database, CMS database. So that's where every particular action, if I just went and ran, I've run a report on demand, on the spot, I would see some kind of entry in the audit. Okay, some information that is available in the repository database. The same way, right? You have event server, you have input server and output server. This is where the locations, this is where your documents, universes, etc., all these things are stored here. Okay, and then anything to do with your accessing your web intelligence is dependent upon this web application container server. So long story short, you have access to these multiple different modules within the central management console. You have universes, connections, web service query, which you use in dashboards, OLAP connections, you'll use for SSAS cubes or BW cubes, and there is data services, which is the ETL tool like Informatica, Data Stage, Ab Initio, okay, Oracle Warehouse Builder, etc. Information Steward, again I told you, right, about data lineage. These are the access levels, okay. Access levels is the security, calendars. Your company can have multiple different kind of calendars and they are all saved here. And these are the events, okay. Based on an event, I can run the report. Then user attribute management, okay. Other than that, when I run a report, right, if it fails, it will show up in the instant manager that it failed. If it succeeds, it shows success, run successfully, but it shows up in the instance manager. Then you have applications. When I click on applications, I would get to see every damn application that can be used within the enterprise. Remember, we thought there are 4 or 5 modules that we are going to cover. There are at least about 15 to 20 modules that are currently here. Okay, but typically businesses run on those basic modules. So what I would call them within the central management console, those modules are nothing but applications. That means we are using them in some way or the other, in some capacity, so that we are still able to access the content. Okay, let's go back here and then go back to CMC Home and look at other things. There are settings. These are the server settings, the environment settings. Then you have sessions. That means if there are 10 people who are accessing the system, right now there is administrator and there is SBO user who are accessing the system as we speak. Okay, these are the two folks who are looking at it. I'm working on a project where there are about 2,000 users. And if I go to this particular panel, if 2,000 users are using the system, I would get to see it here. So these are the sessions. Okay, if I go back to the CMC Home, I want us to look at other things. There is something called as authentication. How do I allow people to get into the system? Do I use AD authentication? Or do I use some other single sign-on? It's more to do with AD authentication or SAP authentication or Windows authentication, or it could be enterprise authentication. It could be any kind of those authentications. Then you have license keys, where one can go ahead and key in the license keys. Then you have promotion management. What exactly is promotion management? You want to move data, you want to move content, which is report from development environment to test environment and to the production environment. I guess all of you have some idea about the software development life cycle. Typically, right, you run all the reports here, right, in development environment. And then your end users will be accessing those reports in test environment. They would be testing it there. Subsequently, once they sign it off, it goes to the production environment. How do I move information, the content from one environment to the other? It's using promotion management. Okay. Then you have version management. Probably if I have 5 different versions of the report, that's where I'm going to use it. Okay. Then you have visual difference. Okay, that's a separate module. You have auditing. What is auditing? Suppose I just go ahead and start running some reports. All that information is recorded there. Okay. Suppose my boss comes to me and asks, "Oh, you know what, Ram, can you just give me a list of reports that our colleagues must have used in last 6 months?" Then this is a module I would be able to, and I would be able to run some queries or run some reports saying that, okay, give me this information. Wherever there is an entry against this particular reports, it will show up. Then there is monitoring. You are monitoring the server. When some server is overutilized, it goes into red. Okay, that's where we will allocate additional memory and make sure that load is distributed. Okay, I do not have any idea about multi-tenancy, okay, and system configuration wizard. So all I'm saying is you could just go ahead and explore. Probably this is a good opportunity for me also to go ahead and start looking at all these particular areas. But again, as I told you, right, primary focus is web intelligence, universe design, be it UDT or IDT, and then comes the administration module besides your dashboards. So any questions so far? Any questions so far? If you have a question, please type in your question, or you could just raise your hand so that I could unmute you. So let me look at. Okay, questions, attendees. Okay. All right. So okay. Okay. All right. So let's move on to the next topic here. Probably, sorry. Okay. So that is central management console for you. Then what we will go through is something called as web intelligence. Okay. Tool. It is a tool that may be accessed from the browser from any location, provided that particular system has access to the BI enterprise. Okay, this can be, so it is a tool that can be accessed from the browser. Okay, primarily the most used reporting tool in every project. Okay, can be learned quick, provides very interesting interface that supports analytics, graphs, charts, okay, and further analysis like drill down, drill by, drill through, drill up. Okay, that's the power of this particular web intelligence. Okay, and other than that, it can access data through universe only. What does that mean? I cannot access any information. The data source has to be universe only. So universe is nothing but it's kind of a data model. It's a semantic layer where you try and hide all the complex business rules. All you have to do is go and drag and drop the objects that are available within the universe to generate a report. So that is web intelligence. If you go further classify web intelligence that is available through the browser version, it is called as thin client. Okay, it is a server intensive process. That means if the server is down, I cannot run the web intelligence thin client. Let me just put it as thin client right against this label. Then Web Intelligence Rich Client. Okay, Web Intelligence Rich Client, it requires, what does it require? It requires a software. Okay, it can access data through Universe or Excel files. Okay, for that matter, even some text files may also be possible. I didn't try it out. Probably one of you can test it and come back and let me know. So we can take a look at it. I don't recollect. Then you have Web Intelligence Rich Clients. Okay, then since this is a browser version, it times out. Okay, no timeout. The report doesn't time out because it is a client version. Okay, can access data offline. Right? These are all the things. So that, what does it mean? If the server is down, I may still be able to go ahead and build some reports from offline data sources like Excel. Suppose you just give me an Excel and say this is the source of your data, I can just go ahead and build a report for your meeting as opposed to waiting for the server to come back. So this is Web Intelligence Rich Client for you. Okay, it is not dependent on as a server process. Okay, so who uses which tool? Okay, typically Web Intelligence Thin Client is used by end users. They need not have to handle any kind of issues that exist with desktop tools. No maintenance, nothing. They just go ahead and access it and they can use it and they can save the content out there online. Then you have Web Intelligence Rich Client, right? I have to upgrade. Whenever my version of the tool changes, I may have to upgrade. Okay, so this is some information that is available for you that I wanted to share. More importantly, right, this gives you a comparison between Web Intelligence Thin Client versus Rich Client. All the developers, or most of the developers, use this particular tool. Okay, and there is not much difference in functionality between a rich client and thin client. Okay, almost it's almost 99.99%. Only when you do some complex things, you'll see there's this very slight change in the interface. I think they have tried to even it out in the 4.1 version, because I've noticed some changes on 4.0 between the rich client and thin client. Okay, one of the reasons why most of the developers use rich client is because we could work faster and there are no timeout issues. Okay, but there is one major dependency with it. Dependency for this tool. I need to create the I need to have the ODBC driver installed on my system. Right? Make sense? I would have to install an ODBC driver installed on, have it installed on my system. That means every time I'm accessing a new system, right, I would have to create those particular drivers, okay, and start using the content. Now, what is the advantage with the other one, the thin client? All the ODBC connections on the server are established by the BI administrator team. So there is no headache that you would have to do it. So, okay. So this is your Web Intelligence thin client, Web Intelligence rich client. As far as the functionality is concerned, it's pretty much the same. Okay, but most of the developers prefer to use it because there is a little time lag. There may be a little time lag on Web Intelligence on using it online on the browser version. Okay, but it's going to be a nightmare if you start opening up this rich client to everybody. Okay, because you have to go and install, uninstall, or you have to do push the software. Some of the companies, they do a lot of that automation. They push the software through their processes, through their jobs. So, again, very few times did I come across those things. There are these large companies which can easily push this software to about maybe 100, 200 people at once. Okay. Now, any questions, folks, so far, with respect to Web Intelligence and rich client and thin client? I'll eventually show you both of them. I'll just do some run some examples for you, depending on the time, and then we could just take it forward. Any questions? Did you folks want to type in any questions? Do you have any questions, or we're good to go move on to the next topic? All right. So let's start using Webby Rich Client for the time being. Okay, 1 second. Looks like there's some unanswered question. I don't know why this question doesn't show up. Give me a second. So, is it possible for you, is there any unanswered question here? Make presenter, make organizer. Okay, let me just, John Killian, I'm just unmuting you. Did you have a question, anything at this point? John, do you have a question here? Okay, no problem. I'll just mute you again. Venkat, did you have any question? Okay, you don't have any question? All right, so let's move on. So let's start off with Web Intelligence Rich Client. So we'll do it for the next few minutes, and then we'll wrap up this particular session. So So go to the start, okay, go to Web Intelligence Rich Client. Okay, see the way I would want to learn these particular tools is go navigate, look at almost all the options. Okay, login as whatever it is, then this is new document. It's a new document. If I want to open existing document, I could just go to the folder and open it. Okay, and then if I want to save something, this is the save icon. If I need to print some report, I would be, then if there is something to be found out, there's a search and find information here. Okay, let's simply start off with one new document. Okay, if I want to create an empty document, I could go to no data source. If I needed to create a document based out of universe, that means there are some underlying tables that are already joined, and I am able to go ahead and access information, drag and drop information. I would be able to use universe. If my data is stored in an Excel, then I could use this option. If my data is available in SAP ERP, so typically the data warehouse part of the SAP ERP is the BEX queries. You have information in the BW. Okay, analysis view. It could be a text. Remember I was telling you we could run a report against Excel, or we can run it against text. And there are some web services. So let's get into something called as universe. 9 out of 10 times, 10 out of 10 times I would be using universe as a data source. So that is also called as a data provider, or it's a data source. I would just go ahead and select universe and say OK. Okay, it's asking me for credentials to open that particular universe. So I'm just giving my giving my credentials here. Okay, I wanted to access something called as eFashion universe. Okay, so what exactly is a universe? Okay, universe is nothing but it's a collection of classes and objects. So all these classes, they show up in the form of the folders here. Okay, and there are different folders, time period, whatever time dimension you want to use, everything is there out there here. About whatever relevant to the store is in this particular folder. R class. This is the product class. It has a list of objects. Okay. Some of them filter criteria. Some of them are measures, extended price, sold at, the numeric ones. Okay. Then promotions, and then measures, all these things. So these are all what I would call it as a universe is a collection of classes and objects. What are classes? They are classification, okay, of objects, or it is a group of objects on a web page, or it could be a group of objects or group of objects on a form, on a web form, or on a desktop form, a user interface. It's just a collection. So you're just trying to put them together based on some kind of commonality. Anything to do with customer, you will put it in a customer class or customer folder. So if you were to classify these objects, there are 3 different types of objects that you can see. The blue icon, okay, these are the dimensions. Then you have this fiscal period, okay, these are called as detailed objects, or they are called as attributes. For example, if you talk about year, year dimension has a fiscal period attribute. That means you can categorize it as is it calendar year, or is it fiscal period, whatever it is. The same way, you have something called as measures, which are in the orange icon. So anything to do with your numeric information is called as a measure. Okay, it could be a count, it could be average, it could be a summary. Okay, any of these things is called as a measure. Okay, so typically very basic question people ask is, what is object classification? That means You have three different types of objects: dimensions, details or detail objects or attributes, or finally you have something called as measure objects. That is as simple as object classification. There are two objects. One is dimension object. You have this rhombus, and then you have this attribute object. Okay, attribute object is dependent on the dimension. What exactly does it mean? Whenever I pull this, not only fiscal period, okay, wow, interesting. I thought this always came up with, okay, very interesting. I need to see, give me a second. Huh? Okay. Until the last version, if I'm not wrong, whenever I dragged and dropped these attributes, they would come along with the year. You know what I mean? So this is the most interesting revelation for me. Okay, let me verify that information and come back to you rather than just do a guess game here. So typically you have the dimensions, then you have the attributes, and finally you have the measures. Measures are nothing but numeric information that you could do, that you could put it on the report. So this tool is called as a drag and drop tool. Okay, that means year, okay, then you have store name, and then finally something called as sales revenue. So this is a simple drag and drop tool. Okay, I may not be as patient as you are. What I do is, instead of dragging and dropping, I'll click on the icon. Or I'll click on the object. Okay, double click. Not single click, but it is double click. So if I put 10 objects in the result objects, all these will show on the report layout. Let's do a simple thing. We are not applying any filters. We are just doing a data preview. This option of data preview started showing up from the version 4.x. Okay, we are in the latest 4.1 SP5 or so. Okay, when you do a refresh, you will find all the information for this particular year. Okay. For that particular year, for the store name, this is the sales revenue. Okay. Suppose I applied something called as last year. Information for this last year, refresh it. Did you see? The data got reduced. Now you say run query. Okay, you'll see 3 objects here. Okay. What I would have to do is probably slightly expand it here, so that the table is not eating away the information. Okay, this is my simple report. Okay, I'll say this is a report tab, revenue by year by store. I can leave it as store or store name. This is my simple report. So every tab I could create, right? I'll duplicate this report. I'll probably remove the store name, delete it, right click and say delete. Remove column. Since I removed the stores, it's saying for year 2002, these are the sales revenue. Okay. Tab 1 is year by store name. Then you have revenue by year. Okay. This is tab 2. When I save it, it is called as a document, new document. New document is nothing but, I'll say probably revenue document. Okay. As far as the hierarchy is concerned, okay, I'll just put it here. Within Web Intelligence Rich Client or a regular thing, I would say a document comprises of multiple reports, multiple tabs. So a small change in the way we use the terminology. We were saying it's a report. It's called as a document. Document has multiple different tabs which are called as reports. One could be summary information. The other one could be detailed information. So that's a simple report for us, or that's a simple document for us. Now what I wanted to do was go back here, go to the data access, say edit. Okay, I'm saying edit data provider. The data provider is the universe here. Go back here. Okay, and I want to remove last year and run the report. Okay, it's running the report for every damn year. And here it is. You have 2001, 2002 and 2003, and these are the sales revenues. Okay, next thing is I go back to the data access and add something called as quarter. Okay, remember I told you whatever you add on result objects, it will show up on the report layout. Okay, unfortunately, right, it is not showing up. So that is web intelligence for you. In desktop intelligence, you would have seen the quarter showing up somewhere at the end of the report because that was the last column that is pulled. So this is one of the major differences between desktop intelligence and web intelligence other than the software difference. Okay, on the report layout, I have to explicitly pull. If I add another 10 new columns, new objects to the query panel, this is called as a query panel. Okay, this is called as a query panel. This is my result objects. This is my query filters. What does it mean, query filter? That means I am applying some filters to restrict the data. What is data preview? Whatever I want before running the report, okay, I want to see what damn data is out there. Okay, so that is my data preview, right? So if I just close it, I see that there are 4 columns here. Okay, I could save it now. If I add another 2 columns, product lines and category, I'll run the report. Okay, but they don't show up on the report layout because we are currently using web intelligence. All we can do is lines. I have to drag and drop. It's a drag and drop tool. And okay, did I just pull only lines or something else? Okay, I just pulled only lines. Probably I'll just also want to pull category. I'll just run the query. And I'll put the category here. Okay. This is a very simple drag and drop tool. Okay. This particular tool, you could do a lot of analytics. Okay. You could show a lot of comparison reports. Okay. I would call them as trend reports. There is master detail reports, then there is list reports. You have reports that are used for analysis purposes, drill down. Okay, and there are trend reports where you can go ahead and print information or create reports which has year over year or quarter over quarter or for a specific year, month over month. All right. So what we will do is at this point, we'll try and wrap up this session. Before I wrap up this session, I just wanted to open the question and answer session. I'll keep it open for about a minute or two. Let me know if you have any questions. I would want to address them. Does anybody have a question? Can they just raise their hand? Or did you want to type in anything in the chat? Okay, great. Somebody has a question, Venkat. Yeah, go ahead, Venkat.
Hi, Venkat. What is the difference between dashboard report and web intelligence report? Because when you added that quarter, the web intelligence, it may not be added.
In web intelligence, it may not be added. I didn't understand that part. So it did not show up on the layout?
Here, the quarter is not added when you are adding the intelligent, but in the dashboard it is added. Are you showing two reports now or single report?
Yeah, this is a single report. This is a different report. This is a different report. This is a different report.
Okay, both are web intelligence reports.
Both are web intelligence reports. They are different tabs. See, for example, I might be more interested in this detail. But you might be interested only in knowing the numbers. You don't really care what store you wanted to see. All you wanted to see was the numbers. Maybe if you are the regional head or the head of the company, looking at year over year information, maybe this is the report. But maybe I'm the sales guy. I want to know which product sold well in which quarter. So this is the thing. But again, I could come up with a new presentation for this report. I can flatten out the structure. You know what I mean? I want to show quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, and quarter 4 revenues this way. That means whatever is these rows, I want to show them as column headers. So we will get into those areas probably from the next session onwards. It's going to be extremely interesting. All we have to, our main objective with this entire reporting module is, I see data in some way or the other as a management, but I want to see it flattened out, or I want to see the data that is easily readable in a readable format for me. You know what I mean? That's all. If the end user says, Ram, I need to see this report in this format, either I tell him that yes, I can deliver it, or I can tell them that, it's a tool. This is not it's not a web application. You know what I mean? This is not Java or .NET where you go and program it. That makes sense? You will say it's a dumb reporting tool. It has some limitations. So within that limitations, you can deliver the reporting solution. Okay. Any other question? Venkat?
I'm good. Okay.
So, if you have any question, please raise your hand. All right. So what we will do is we'll catch up with this session tomorrow. We will get to learn some basic reporting techniques. Okay. Time permitting, we may even go to some of the advanced topics. But I'll again, I would like to go according to the level of your understanding. That's my objective. Want to try and connect with almost all of you. That's when I would have done some justice. But again, with the interest of time, right, there may be a situation I'm not able to address something. always send across a note, an email, or probably put your information on the blog. Reach out to your coordinator. Any of those questions, I'll try and answer. So let's touch base again tomorrow. I believe it is again 8 p.m. CST. If there is any kind of change, your coordinator may be able to reach out to you and clarify things for you. Okay. Let's conclude the session for today. Let's move on to it tomorrow, and let's touch base tomorrow. It should be again an hour and a half long session. If you're not sure about anything, do send your questions or raise your hand, and I'll try and answer them. All right. Thank you.
Yeah,